Gotta be true to yourself. In a world there's nothing else. Gotta play the game right, gotta make your path. You scratch, you dig, you lay in your ground. You bustin' your rounds, nobody gon' stop you. No ops, no cops, everything about you. Looking good, you good, she good. Y'all people really wanna know the reason? It's that ripple effect. That's just that ripple. That's just that ripple effect. What you do, come back triple.
Hey, what's going on? It's your girl K-Dot back in the Ripple Effect. You already know what it is and you already know the vibes. There's a lot of stuff going on. Lamar Jackson is now going to be getting paid less than Danny Dimes. This world is crazy, right? Aaron Rodgers is out of the dark but still hasn't seen the light yet. Hasn't made his decision on what he plans on doing. I'm hearing he's talking to the Jets, which is making Jets fans really happy, and of course Green Bay fans a little on edge and not really sure what their superstar is going to do. But you already know Aaron Rodgers. I'm one of those people who already decided a while ago that I'm officially out of the I'm going to try to get in the head of Aaron Rodgers business. That's not for me. You want me to ask me to guess, make a prediction, where would he fit best? I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers. I would say it's time for him to move on, just based on how Green Bay is presently constructed. I mean, but it all depends. I mean, some people don't take into account money, right? Money's a big deal. He's going to get his money no matter where he goes, but how much of it he's going to get matters. Some people might say, what are you talking about? If it's going to be the same, it's going to be the same everywhere. No, it doesn't, because, taxes, right? So if you go to New York, it's going to hit a little different. Some people who really don't think about money like that, they may say, oh, he's making so much money, it doesn't matter. Of course it does. He's on the downside of his career, right? So unless he plans on getting a really lucrative deal like Tom Brady did and probably making more money, in TV than he did his NFL career, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's possible, sure. But as for right now, it's kind of like, it does matter, folks. It matters where you live. And some people actually do, take that into account, i.e. Tyreek Hill, when he had the chance to go to the Jets or to the Dolphins, and he decided to go to the Dolphins, right? To Miami, state of Florida. Yeah, that stuff matters. Anyway, we have to talk about what, the elephant in the room, right? We got to switch over to NBA, but we got to talk about Ja Morant and what's going on with him, what's going on with the Memphis Grizzlies, what's going on in the NBA. But I'm really glad to see that there's a lot of support for him. I know a lot of people are going crazy, the memes and all that, and while that's all fine, well, and good, at the end of the day, this is a serious problem. It's a serious problem in our society, right? Not that people really care, right? Because things still keep happening and they're still the same, and we don't seem to be making any changes. So you already know what it is. But more specifically, in Ja Morant's case, we have already known that there's a lot of allegations out there, and people need to put things into its proper context, right? So if we're going to lean on, trying to get the story right, then we have to be, we have to use some ethics. So allegedly, he beat up a 17-year-old, right? We don't know if that's true. All that stuff still needs to get investigated and ironed out, which is currently happening. Him allegedly, in the SUV, with his people, and pointing a gun with the red laser at the Indiana Pacers bus, allegedly. Him on his own IG live, brandishing said weapon. We all saw it. He videotaped it. It's not alleged. Happened. He immediately took full responsibility for that action, which was really smart. Brilliant, even. Because I think that's where a lot of athletes get themselves into trouble. It's not necessarily the act. It's the hemming and hawing around, just getting to the point of, I apologize for said actions and the way it, the way it looked, the way it handled it, and let's be, blunt, he was being irresponsible, and that's why he apologized, and he said that he's gonna get the help that he needs, and which is interesting to me because if you're it's not like he got filmed by doing something like that from someone else and it was kind of like, oh, they don't really know what I was doing or they didn't tape the whole like he did this himself, you know what I mean? So obviously he wasn't thinking, obviously there's other things, involved that probably influenced those decisions. But needless to say, that seemed like a cry for help because the fact that you would, you know, publicize you doing something that won't be well received, and knowing who you are, knowing that you're, becoming the face of the franchise. Gatorade plans on coming out with this beautiful commercial with you and your father, and now we're hearing about your parents and what type of people. Everybody's just, you know, when it rains, it pours, and that's kind of what's going on. And I don't want to, add any more, fuel to that. I just want to bring light to what's going on and definitely use this as a teachable moment because that's what you want to do, right? You want to sit there and try to figure out what happened, why did this happen? Okay, it happened. He took full responsibility and he's going to be away from the team. The NBA, automatically said 2-game suspension. And when I was hearing about everything, it wasn't even just that. When I was hearing about everything, I was like, yeah, I'm not trying to advocate for anybody to get in trouble or anything like that. But 2 games, I'm like, if you want him to really understand and get the help that he needs and try to sort all this mess out, 2 games ain't enough. And to be in the limelight, with all these teams trying to make a playoff push and to try to be hyper focused right now when he clearly isn't. And then to find out before that video of him being on IG Live, brandishing the gun, they had a players only, team meeting that was led by Steve Adams, bringing light to the very thing that's been going on. Not even the whole Shannon Sharp and, Dylan Brooks, what's going on with him and Jaren Jackson Jr. It was just, we need to calm down. You know what I mean? Like, we need to, stop all the off the court stuff and let's be about basketball and let's see how far we could really take this thing. Let's just get really serious. Let's hone in on what's really important, which is supposed to be to win games, win a championship for the city of Memphis. That's kind of the whole point, right? While we live in a beautiful life at the same time. But, and just a couple hours later, it was that same night that he decided to go on IG Live brandishing that weapon. And it was just, obviously, didn't hear anything that Steve Adams or anybody else in that locker room had to say. And obviously didn't take heed to it and didn't understand how his actions were not only detrimental to himself, but, his family, anybody who looks up to him, especially the kids. Like, that's what I think about. I'm always thinking about the next generation because they're so impressionable. And right now, lines are just blurred at this point when it comes to certain right and wrong. And it gets to be too much. So you have to be mindful, So the fact that the NBA did decide to come down and said, you know what, he's suspended indefinitely. We were just saying just at least the 2 games until we could sort all this mess out. And where he was doing that with the gun, like they don't even know if he brought it on the team plane, which is obviously a no-go. You already know the history in the NBA with, guns and everything like that. And, with Gilbert Arenas, and even he spoke on this very issue. And just the climate we're in as a society, I mean, it's just something that we have to really pay attention to and just try to figure out how to make changes moving in the right direction so that way history doesn't repeat itself, which it never does. It's just people just don't learn from history and by default it repeats itself. But all we can hope is that he does get the help he needs. I personally think he should be done for the season. I'm sorry, it's Memphis Grizzlies fans, John Morant fans, and hello, I'm a John Morant, fan too. I've watched a lot of his interviews, especially on the pivot. I thought he was great. It's not like I still don't. It's just he needs to be away. He needs to realize his impact. He needs to realize where he needs help at. I couldn't imagine being 23 with all that money and having everybody look at me like I'm their savior. I don't know what that's like. I've never been there. But what I do know is when you're trying to come up and when you're trying to, change not only, wealth within your family right now, you're trying to change generational wealth. You're doing something big. You're doing something that only people can even dream about. So I can understand, like you have pressure. I can't necessarily, be in your shoes because I never was. But at the same time, this probably couldn't have happened at a better time. And I know a lot of people were saying that. And they're absolutely right. And that's because it's still early enough where you can get ahead of it. Nobody got hurt in terms of gun violence. I know that there's that alleged 17-year-old, and it's alleged, and we still don't know, the true details of that. So I'm not gonna go there. As of now, the information that we have now, it was just reckless behavior, and thank goodness as a result, nobody was injured or hurt because of it. So that's where he's kind of lucky, in that sense. But for now, like I said, they should just shut it down. Just shut it down. If he comes back too quickly, if you're saying that you need help and you got the pressure of the playoffs and everything else, and your family's still going to be sitting front row and drinking, and you're still around those same people with the same influences, you're just going to be spiraling, and I don't want to see that for him. I'd rather see him get better as a man, as a leader, as a mentor, because that's what he is, a role model. I know a lot of people want to say they're not role models, and I get it, dude. Like, I get it. But by default, it just comes with the territory. You have that type of money. He has a certain style. He has a certain look that kids gravitate towards, and not everybody's gonna be able to ball like you. Like, people where you're from, Ja, honestly, people where or similar circumstances, they're not gonna get away with what you just did. And I'm not even trying to say you're getting away with it, because I understand that there's still legal ramifications that could be, handed down. But I mean in terms of you're going to be somewhat safe because of money. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have the best of lawyers. You're going to have a team in your best interest. Why? Because they invested in you. But if it's somebody else who doesn't have those means, who can't dunk over people like you, shoot like you, have the, the charisma, everything that you exude that make you John Morant, a lot of kids don't have that, man. And at the end of the day, they're gonna have to learn that lesson a lot harder than you. And maybe that's just something to be mindful of. Like, I get it. It's difficult. It's not easy, but I know he's gonna come out bigger and better. I know he's gonna do his thing. I'm a John Morant fan, so I'm wishing him nothing but the best. He's 23. What he did obviously was silly. I'm sure he knows that. I'm sure he's obviously trying to work those details out and trying to figure out who in his camp is really for him, who's not really there for him and just there for the ride. I'm sure there's a lot of things he needs to search out. Whatever demons that's inside him, his upbringing, I don't know. But he did speculate, like, he did insinuate that there was something there. So this is not just coming out of nowhere, but I wish him the best. And it's crazy. It truly is. Because that kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, you saw their kind of antics on the side, like, especially with the whole Shannon Sharp thing. You saw it kind of getting a little bit out of control, and then his father, John Morant's father, getting involved. Like I said, you kind of saw like little glimpses, and it's like, wow, if you're doing this during a game, imagine when the cameras ain't on you, what you doing, So I get it, but like I said, sorry guys. I know some people are like, no, I think just a couple of games enough. He'll be back ready to go. Listen, I'm not in charge of those decisions. I'm just trying to think from more of a mental health standpoint, if that's where he's coming from. I don't think just a few games and the pressure of the playoffs is really the right place for him at this place in time. But, but we'll see. We'll stay tuned, though. Appreciate y'all listening. I only ask y'all to do one thing. Losses equals life lessons. Peace.
Gotta be true to yourself. In a world there's nothing else. Gotta play the game right, gotta make your path. You scratch, you dig, you lay in your ground. You bustin' your rounds, nobody gon' stop you. No ops, no cops, everything about you. Looking good, you good, she good. Y'all people really wanna know the reason? It's that ripple effect. That's just that ripple. That's just that ripple effect. What you do, come back triple.